So today I'm going to be talking about what to do when you have a bad game, how to deal with having a bad game. Now, I'm sure we've all had bad games in our life, you know, them games where you come off the pitch and you're thinking, oh, I should have done more, I should have done better. I should have done this went wrong, that went wrong. And then you go home and it just ruins your mood for the rest of the day, you understand? But today I'll be teaching you how to deal with having a bad game, how to come back from it, how to, you know, not let it affect your confidence for the next game, so you don't end up having 2 bad games, 3 bad games, so you don't end up having the whole season where you're just not playing at your best, you understand? And the first thing you need to do, in my opinion, is that you just need to analyze the game. Analyze not just during the game, but pre-game as well, your preparation as well, because maybe it was one of them days where I've definitely had one of them days where it's like, yo, I look back, I'll come home from having a bad game and I'll look back to what happened before the game, like on the morning of the game, and I'll be thinking, alright, cool, what went wrong? And then I realized that, yo, before the game, too many things were just happening. I was just stressed out, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I woke up late and I ended up being in a rush. Maybe it was one of them ones where it's like, yo, you know when you're getting ready and for some reason, you can't find your socks, you can't find this, you can't find that, you can't find your shin pads. You ask your parents, yo, have you seen my shin pads? Nobody's seen your shin pads. You ask your brothers, nobody's seen your shin pads, you understand? And you're just scurrying around the house looking for it. And then you realize, alright, cool, I don't have my socks, yo. Then you realize, yo, my socks are in the washing machine. So then you have to go grab it out of the washing machine, maybe put it in the dryer, or like put it outside and then just hope for the best, you understand? So literally just analyze what happened pre-game, analyze, you know, what went wrong, and then even during the game as well, like what actually happened. Maybe your warm-up wasn't that good, maybe you didn't take your warm-up as seriously as you were meant to take it, you understand? Maybe in the game, you know what I'm saying, you were taking too many touches. Maybe it was a case of you took too long to get into the game, you know, you didn't get into the game quick enough. I feel like that's a big thing for me. I realize that there's a correlation where it's like, if I don't get into the game like straight away within like the first 2 minutes, if I haven't touched the ball, if I haven't, you know, been involved in an action, it can literally be any action. Like it can be literally, you know, jumping up to win a header, trying to make a tackle, just literally taking a touch and playing a pass. If I haven't been involved in anything for like the first 3 minutes, a lot of the 3, 4, 5 minutes, a lot of the times I just go on to having a bad game. I don't know why it is, but the best games I always have are the ones where it's like, yo, I'm in the action straight away. Literally, maybe I'm the centre mid and what's called, we have kickoff, and then my striker literally just played it to me and I've played a pass. Literally, that's just the first action. As soon as I get my first touch, it's like boom, alright, cool, the game's underway, you know what I'm saying? I feel like all footballers know that feeling where it's like you get your first few touches and then the nerves start to calm down. If you are nervous before the game, once you get them few touches in, once you're involved in a few actions, your nerves start to calm down, you understand? So literally, in my opinion, if you're at home sitting down thinking, oh, I had a bad game, just analyze what went wrong, you know what I'm saying? I feel like pre-game, if something went wrong pre-game, where, like I said, if you woke up late, if you couldn't find your thing, just make sure you adjust. Make sure you pack your things the night before, you know what I'm saying? Just little things like that. Make sure you set that alarm, and when you set that alarm, you wake your ass up, you know what I'm saying? Just make sure you're just doing little things. Just be consistent, you understand? Because, like I said, I know them days where it's like you're going into the match and you're just stressed already because so much has happened before the match, you know what I'm saying? You're rushing here, you have to do certain things. And it's just, and your head's just messed up, you understand? Your head's just fucked up, to be honest. And it's like, you're not, and it's hard to, you know, get into that zone, get into that flow state where you have so many things, you know, going on off the pitch that it affects your performances on the pitch. So literally just make sure, in my opinion, just get a pre-game routine, and just make sure it's consistent, you understand? Because I feel like when the pre-game routine is consistent, the performances are going to be consistent. You need your whole life to be consistent. I don't know if you guys watch basketball, but I remember when, there's this basketball player called Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA. When the interviewer was like, yo, how are you so consistent? How are your performances so consistent? You know what I'm saying? He was just like, yo, my performances are consistent because my whole life is consistent. And his teammates at the back were all screaming, saying, yo, that was a cold line, you know what I'm saying? Because he was just like, yo, my performances are consistent because my life's consistent, you know. I wake up every day, do the same thing, just make good habits, just make sure I'm just ready to go out and play, you know what I'm saying? So literally that's the first point. Literally just analyze what you did pre-game and even during the game. Did you take too many touches? Were you not aggressive enough? Literally just little things like, yeah. So literally that's the first one. Just analyze what happened pre-game and during the game, and trust me, Once you know what went wrong, you can put measures in place to prevent what happened, to prevent the bad things from happening, so that you can, bounce back in your next game. But that's the first point. Now my next point is literally just to go out and train as soon as possible, as quickly after the match as you can. You should just go out and train so you regain that confidence, so you build that confidence during the week, during the lead up into the next game, you understand? Because the worst thing I think you can do after having a bad game is to like lose confidence, dwell on that bad game. At least you just be sitting around for like the next 2-3 days, not really doing anything, sitting around for the next 2-3 days. Maybe you're just waiting for your next team training session. You're just sad, you're depressed, you're what's it called, you're just eating junk food, you're not doing the right things that will actually optimize your performance. You're just, like I said, you're just sitting around doing nothing, just being depressed. In my opinion, get out onto that training pitch as quickly as possible, so you can get those touches in, so you can actually regain that confidence. I feel like this regains confidence because let's say if you're a striker and you were missing chances in the last game, you missed about 4 big chances. Once you get out onto that pitch, let's say you go to your local Astro, if you have goals available, whether it's 7-a-side goals, 9-a-side goals, whatever, maybe you have 11-a-side goals there as well. Once you get onto that pitch and you start shooting, you just start, taking shots, you start taking shots. Once you see a few of them go in, that's when your confidence is going to go up. That's when you're going to feel like in your brain, you're going to be like, alright, cool, I'm not a bad player, I just had a bad game, you know what I'm saying? I can still shoot. And then once you do that, pretty much most days during up to the lead up to the next game, your confidence is gonna be there. Let's say you had a game on Saturday and your next training is on Tuesday. Let's say you go out on the Sunday, you go train, you go work on your game after having a bad game. The Monday you go train. The Tuesday, by the time it's Tuesday, it's like, your confidence is back up because you've been working on your game, you've been training, and then you realize it was just like, it was just a bad game. You know what I'm saying? It's just a bad game, and your training has proved to you that I'm still a good player, I'm still good at this, I'm still good at that. I just had a bad game. Maybe it was that you're a centre mid and for some reason that day your touch was just off. The next day, just go out and work on that touch. Just work on that touch. Just keep working on it. And once the touch is sticking, once you're plucking the ball out from the sky, once you're turning on your back foot and you're swift, you're gonna gain that confidence literally like that. And then you're just gonna, like I said, you're gonna realize that it's not that deep, it's just a bad game. And this honestly prevents you from losing confidence into the next game. Because think about it, if you get depressed for the next week and you're not really training, if you're not training that hard, you're not really doing the right habits, once you go out onto the pitch the next game, you're still going to be thinking about that game because you haven't been putting in the work into the lead up. Your freshest memory is going to be the bad game you had. Whereas if you're training literally every day into the build up to the next game, bro, your mind's not gonna go all the way back to 7 days ago. Your mind's gonna go back to the previous day or 2 days before, where you were training hard, you were putting in the work. Like I said, maybe you're a striker, you're doing a shooting drill. Your mind's just gonna think about, alright, cool, remember that shooting drill I was doing yesterday? Everything was corners, bottom corner, top bins, unsavable. Keeper couldn't get there. That's what you're gonna be thinking about. And then what's gonna go through your mind? It's just gonna be, it's a chain reaction. It's just gonna be good emotions. You're gonna be like, hey, let's go, I'm ready. Last week, forget about it. It didn't even happen, you understand? Because you've done so much during that week, you barely even remember what happened last week, you understand? You know them ones where it's like, because so much has happened in a period of time. It might be, let's say something happened like a week ago to you. This is outside of football as well. Something may have happened a week ago, but because so much has happened in the 6 days leading up, in the 6 days afterwards, it feels like that day happened like months ago or years ago, you understand? You feel like the week was just so long for some reason. That's sort of the mentality you have to take in. Is that when you train so much into the build up to your next game after having a bad game, because you've done so much work, so much preparation, the week prior, it feels like time ago. I've definitely had those moments where it's like, for some reason the last game we had, it felt like it was 3 weeks ago instead of 1 week ago. And that's a good thing if you had a bad game, It's a good thing if you're trying to forget the bad game. It's a good thing if it feels like it happened a month ago instead of a week ago. So yeah, literally just preparation. Don't crash out. Don't, after the game, don't just say, oh fuck it, I'm just gonna order Uber Eats, I'm just gonna order a McDonald's, I'm not really gonna do anything for the next 3 days, I'm just gonna order Uber Eats, rest my body. Nah, don't do that. Literally just just rectify any mistakes in any holes in your game, whether it was your shooting, whether it was your first touch, just to make sure that you're not constantly thinking about that when you go into your next game. Because if you're thinking about it, like I said, as a footballer, if you're overthinking when you overthink too much, when you're overthinking your first touch, when you're overthinking your shooting, you're gonna hesitate, you're gonna be nervous, you know what I'm saying? If you're nervous receiving the ball, you know what I'm saying, your foot's gonna be firm, the ball's just gonna bounce off your foot because you're not relaxed, you know what I'm saying? If you're a striker and you're shooting, you're just gonna snatch at things, you know what I'm saying? Let's say if you're a winger and it was your 1v1 ability that was letting you down. If you're overthinking your skill moves, if you're overthinking, especially as a winger, if you're not playing off instinct, then you're gonna start overcomplicating things. You're gonna you don't want to think as a winger, especially in 1v1 situations. You just want to, you know, step over, bang, or double step over and bang. You don't want to be thinking, alright, cool, should I hit him with the step over, then the chop, then the body feint? Nah, you don't want that. So literally, that's why in my opinion, if you have a bad game, literally just whatever was letting you down that day, literally just work on it. Just work on it relentlessly for the next few days, so it doesn't even clog up your mind. It doesn't break your confidence. You know what I'm saying? But that's the next point. And then finally, I touched on it in the first point a little bit, but when the match day does come, when it's that next game and you had a bad game, just make sure that you put intention into everything. Like I said, you've already analysed what went wrong. Just make sure you don't make those same mistakes again. Once you go out onto the pitch for the warm-up, make sure you're taking the warm-up seriously. Make sure you're the best player. You're the best player in the warm-up. You understand? Because I know it doesn't always correlate. You know, having a good warm-up doesn't always correlate to a good performance. But I just feel like it's good because it's like, yo, it's just a confidence builder. Because when you're thinking to yourself, yo, I've had a good warm-up, alright, cool, let's go. You know, maybe in the warm-up, maybe it was a shooting drill, or maybe it was a possession drill, maybe it's a possession drill, and you were the best player in the possession drill. In the little 5v5, you know, you were popping it, you were moving. Your team was better than the other team. I know for me personally, that gave me confidence. When we were doing like our little possession drill, maybe 5v5, 6v6, if my team were the team, you know, popping it around, you know, and we had the other team chasing the ball, that would give me confidence going into the match. That would be like, alright, cool, I've got my touches in, my touch is sharp, movement is there, you've broken a sweat, it's like you're warm now, you understand? So literally on that match day, just make sure you get a good warm up, and then like I always say, get into the game early, you know what I'm saying? If you're a winger and you see the fullback on your side has the ball, shout for the ball. Just say you want it feed. Even if it's just to touch and give it back, or even if it's just to give it back first time, just, you know what I'm saying? The more touches you get early on, just to calm the nerves. If you're a centre mid, just get from your centre back. Even if you have to bounce it, it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? If you're a striker and you see the opportunity to shoot, yo, take that shot early, because I know a lot of strikers where they don't want to get a chance too early in the game. Like I get that feeling where it's like it's your first touch and you have an opportunity to shoot already. Sometimes the chances for a striker can come too early, but yo, just take that shot and just have the belief that, yo, even if I miss this shot, I'm gonna get another one. And plus, it's a confidence booster as well. If you're a striker and you get a shot on target, even if the keeper, you know, even if the keeper catches it, or if you force the keeper to make a save, or it just whistles just wide of the post, yo, that's a confidence builder. That's where you're like, alright, cool, let's go. Next one is going in, you know what I'm saying? Because by the time you get your next shot, you're probably gonna be warm. You probably had a few extra touches, and then bang, it's gonna be a goal. So just make sure on the match day you just put that intention into your preparation and in the match. But that's all I've got to say for this vid. Hope you enjoyed. I've been JT, and I'm out.